So poops, Malaysia is such an amazing country. It is a place of social justice. We are good global citizens that care about solidarity. We're so good that even Amnesty International thinks that we are hypocrites. So poops, Amnesty International accused us of being selective on human rights just recently. Their interim co-regional director for East and Southeast Asia, Monse Farah, said Malaysia has been very supportive of the calls against Israel in the context of Gaza, but quiet or the opposite of supportive on Rohingya deportations or Uyghur deportations. Which, by the way, come in the wake of how we detained and deported Abdul Hakim Idris, which is like, youch. Now, we can see some people going all amnesty, clown, no, lols, nah, not relevant and can be ignored. And then some people be all like, Amnesty International is a Western imperialist colonialist empire tools to manipulate the narrative, nothing more, just imperialist agendas. And then you have Zulkifli Ismail saying, biasalah, bangsa dak memang macam itu. Wow, I have no idea how that has anything to do with race, but okay, so poop. But anyway, Amnesty does have its own issues, but you don't have to just trust Amnesty. You can also trust Lubna Sheikh Ghazali, who says the country's treatment of Rohingya refugees is in stark contrast to its support for the Palestinians. Malaysia has collective amnesia and is selective about who deserves protection. Wow. And you can just imagine all the people out there getting ready to scream at Asylum Access as well. But you know, even if the amnesty thing doesn't mean anything, I can actually look to my own experiences with the solidarity sapoops. And you know what? In this case, I think amnesty is absolutely right. Newsflash sapoops, I have never actually believed them. But is it really any surprise when the way that all of y'all go out there to so-called defend your solidarity is by being racist, screaming about type Cs, type Ks, bangsa, DAP? So poops, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to know that just because you don't support this so-called solidarity thing, selectively chosen, it doesn't mean that you're a heartless human being with no sense of morals. Maybe you just don't know enough to actually say anything. Which, if you think about it, is kind of natural, cause dude, we're talking about the Israeli-Palestine conflict here. It's not like some random fight between school children. It is thousands of years long of history, different sides, different timelines, multiple interpretations, and you expect me to go out there and then make an affirmative statement one way or another? Wow, that would be unthinkable. Or so you'd imagine until you realize that actually some of these people are literally going out there to some of their friends and then forcing their friends to take on positions on the conflict, and if they don't like what they hear, then they'll abandon their friends. And I just have to wonder to myself, like, would a real friend do something like that to you? I think the answer should be pretty clear. And if you don't see these kinds of behaviors, then go ahead and go on social media and then look at what these people are saying about people who don't go out there and scream that they support them, gaslight you and say that if you don't agree with everything that they're saying or you don't scream free, free Palestine, then surely you must be a Zionist. I mean, come on, like, are you kidding? Do you know how many of these jokers I've interacted with in the past 2 years? The kinds who are racist, the kinds who try to slander you, mock you. I think that they are basically fake, clout chasing, and always constantly trying to get people to ikut because they are insecure and they are trying to protect themselves from being kecam by other people for not being #solidarity enough. You know, we could talk about the whole Sumut flotilla thing, which I think more and more people are realizing is a joke. But you know, taking the amnesty line, we can actually think again about the whole Rohingya thing. Yeah, does anyone remember the whole Heidi Kwa case, where she basically got the words offend and annoy struck out? Yeah, that was because of the whole Rohingya crisis, where people were basically locked up in their
COVID era
refugee camp, which our Malaysian government apparently decided to go and prosecute her for.
Yeah, our solidarity supports were abusing her.
You know, these people are going out and just being all like, do you know that we are so good already for letting them in? The audacity to blame Malaysia when Malaysia already welcomed them despite not bounded to refugee convention. Malaysia never promised rights. We're not a signatory. And to that I would say, well bruh, there's this proverb in Chinese that goes, 做好人做到底. And it means if you're gonna do good, then do it until the end. Otherwise, you're basically not doing any good at all.
If you're not really interested in helping them,
then why would you even accept them in the first place? Oh wait. You know, that's actually something that we know the answer to. Maybe you remember this tier rally where a certain Najib Sepup appeared on a poster with a Hadi Awang Sepup and talking about how we need to have solidarity for the Ummah. Welcome them in because we are so truly amazing and wonderful human rights. Yeah, more like the right to get people to vote for you because you're so-called supporting Muslims. You wanted to use the Rohingyas for clout. And the moment they stop being useful and they start creating problems, then poof, suddenly everybody hates them and you wanted to kick them out. You know, the funny thing is that a lot of people are gonna go out there and say, do you know that this is fitnah? We don't do that kind of thing. Malaysia adalah negara bermaruah. But the funny thing is that when Palestinians actually came to Malaysia and they started creating trouble, then you had Malaysians coming out and saying, jom makan Maggi ngan KFC aku belanja. Jangan sampai aku makan McD. Malaysia dah penat tolong Palestine. And this banger right here from Muhammad Firas Ali that goes, betul ke ni Palestine ataupun Rohingya? Wow. Maybe they no longer fit your whole grand story about how you're on the side of justice. But why did that happen? It's because our solidarity Sepups actually had to deal with the Palestinians for the very first time exactly what happened with the Rohingyas. It doesn't just show that Malaysia is selective when it comes to human rights issues, it also shows that Malaysians are all yaya papaya, all talk when it comes to human rights, act like you care about solidarity, but when it actually comes to it, you would never pay a single ringgit for keeping up all these human rights concerns. When the rubber hits the road, they'll just be all like, shoo, let's kick you out. Does that seem like solidarity to you?
I mean, if it is, I'm not sure exactly how.
I've never really said this before, but before the whole October 7th thing, I honestly didn't have an opinion about the whole Israel-Palestine thing. It's not like I particularly cared, because it's not even my country. And when it came to this whole Gaza conflict, I would have probably been a lot more open to listening, but now, after seeing all these so-called solidarity Sepoops, the screaming people who keep talking about how they want you to support something, otherwise you are not on the side of justice, I am actually sick and tired, because it showed me really a lot about human nature. You can't even behave in a civil way with people in your own country and you want to go out there and then act like a hero. Yeah, keep on dreaming cause it ain't gonna happen. But either way, Sepoops, even Amnesty thinks that we're hypocrites, and based on the fact that we conducted a poll just about 2 hours ago and 253 of you voted, with 92% saying that yes, Malaysia is a hypocrite country on human rights, I think that quite a number of you agree. You guys have said quite a lot about that. Feel free to join the discussion in the post. And for me, it's kind of like a cherry on top of this cake of these accumulated experiences that I've had that reminds me that, yeah, there's a reason that I don't support this so-called solidarity movement. So yeah, Sepoops, you can trust Amnesty or you can not trust Amnesty. To me, it doesn't really matter. What's more important to me is that you trust your own experience of interacting with these kinds of people. And if you've been pretending to support this rather than actually sharing your real opinions and your thoughts about it, I invite you to come out and share those thoughts, and let's denormalize pretending like we actually care and instead normalize a reality where we can think for ourselves, say what we actually feel, and not let gaslighters like that pressure us into pretending that we actually care when in reality they are just using it for their own clout, political success, to earn money, or to feel better about themselves, while gaslighting, emotionally manipulating, and controlling other people because they want them to behave in the way that they want. So if you think this is a meaningful discussion and maybe a few more people should listen to it outside of this little echo chamber that we have, then go ahead and send the video to more people and let's get their thoughts and your opinions on that. Anyway, what do you think, Sepoops? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. That's all to say about that, and bye.